The PlayStation 2 was the system to play if you were an RPG fan at the time. Games like Final Fantasy, Odin Sphere, Rogue Galaxy, and Kingdom Hearts were just some out of many RPGs that were on the system, but none of them were as unique as Persona. It wasn't until Persona 3 the foundation of a Persona game was founded, mixing in a dating sim / living life as a student during the day and a dungeon crawling turn-based fighting demons at night type of gameplay. Persona isn't just the name of the game, but it is what the demons you summon in this game are called. A persona, according to Igor here, states that a persona is a facet of your personality that surfaces as you react to external stimuli. In other words, a mask. He also mentions it is also a manifestation of your psyche. So that's what a persona is, but now let's talk about the persona users in this game. Those being, of course, the main protagonist, Yukari, Junpei, Akihiko, and Mitsuru. There are other people you will meet throughout the game's story, but for spoiler warning, I'm gonna try not to say much else. These characters and even side characters that you would interact with are so lovable, and I can guarantee you that there will be at least one character here that you can easily relate to.
I'm sure our son will be back soon enough. Right, dear?
Oh, my dear, he's...
Now, to give you guys the TLDR version of the story is that you guys are going to be exploring this dungeon tower called Tartarus and will be investigating as this mysterious condition called apathy syndrome is affecting a lot of people in the area. The gang believe that Tartarus may be potentially the location that may have the answers. The interesting thing though about all of this is what we call the dark hour. The dark hour is what you can call an extra hidden hour that nobody knows about. It happens once it hits midnight, and for 1 hour everyone who is a regular Joe will be put into a coffin unaware of this random terrifying hour-long event. It's very creepy and mysterious. Once the dark hour starts, everything gets this weird green effect and blood appears to be just around everywhere. Electrical appliances as well cease to work, but there are some exceptions to this if they have been modified to be usable in the dark hour. So that is the most that I will say for the overall plot, but really this world and this dark hour is what makes this entire game very interesting. The gameplay for Persona 3 is your typical turn-based RPG with some extra elements as well. Attack your enemy with whatever elemental or physical damage they are weak against, and once they are down, take them all out instantly with an all-out attack move. It's your typical Persona gameplay, and it's so satisfying having multiple enemies down and unleashing this attack. Now let's go ahead and talk about Tartarus, which is, like I mentioned, is the dungeon that you will be exploring every night if you decide to do so. It is basically, in a way, if you have played Persona 5, I'd say it's more so like Mementos. If you haven't played Persona 5, then another way to describe it is it's just a random generated tower that you just have to keep climbing and climbing. Once you have reached a certain level though, you may not continue to keep going forward, as you may need to wait until a certain event to happen in the normal world. These events tend to happen once a full moon is reached, but that's about as much as info as I'll provide. While you are exploring Tartarus, you are able to of course fight enemies known as shadows and gain experience for yourself, your teammates, and as well as your personas. If you do great in combat, at the end of the fight you can get this event called Shuffle Time, where you can pick whether you want more experience from the battle, more money, have health back, get an Arcana card to give you some form of extra boost in your time in Tartarus, and lastly the cool thing is of course get more personas. The main protagonist is also the same with all other protagonists in this series, and that is that they are what Igor likes to call them, a wild card. What this means is that the main protagonist is actually able to call upon multiple personas to come assist them in battle. Other characters only have one persona, and those are the ones that heard their call initially when they first realized that they have potential. So that's what you will be doing during the dark hour, but what about when you are just doing your normal day-to-day activities? Well, for this, you will be living your life as a second year attending Gekukan High and making new friends, increasing your social links, and as well as either studying to increase your academics, your charm, or your courage. Increasing these sometimes will help you out with either getting further into a relationship with someone or even having access to certain areas in the game. In a typical life of a normal teenager or high schooler, you know, there are some certain areas that high schoolers shouldn't be able to go to, aka this being either clubs, back streets, stuff like that, alleys, or just kind of having the last talk to or standing up to somebody. These social links you make and have with people are super important, as when you are talking to Igor in the Velvet Room, they will be used depending on how deep your relationship is with the individual or groups to gather extra experience points when you decide to fuse personas to create new ones in their own Arcana category. In a way, this is what links both gameplay loops together. You have the dungeon crawling side and of course your normal relationship social link side. This is also of course has a hint of a dating sim in a way, so if you find yourself smitten for any girls in this game, you can very well go ahead and do so. Some females here as well will need you to either have your courage, your charm, or your academics up, like I mentioned. But other thing that I also want to go ahead and notate here is that Chihiro is mine. So for those of you that are spinning over her, it ain't gonna work out. She's mine. So yeah, buzz off. There's so much more that I can keep on rambling on about the game, but honestly, you'll be making yourself a disservice not playing this new remake. As someone who has played the original back in the PS2 era, this put a smile on my face every single time I saw either the new art for the characters in this game, seeing the clock turn into midnight to signify the dark hour has started, and just seeing Tartarus even more so creepy than it was in the original made me feel like I was going through this game again for the first time. Persona 3, just in my opinion, has just a much more darker and creepier aura to it than the latest Persona game. I 100% recommend this version, and if you guys are wondering what my review score would be for this game, I would actually give it a solid 9 out of 10. The only drawbacks that I have for this game is, unfortunately, during this time, this isn't the definitive Persona 3. We have the original Persona 3, we have Persona 3 Fez that included additional items, and we also have Persona 3 Portable, which has the inclusion of you playing as a female protagonist instead, but loses, of course, the P3 Fez content. So that really is the reason why it loses a point. If you were to experience Persona 3 for the first time, Persona 3 Reload would be the way to do it. But that's going to be it for me, guys. That's basically my quick little review for Persona 3. I would love to go even more further in detail about just Persona 3, its characters, its story, and everything, but I just don't want to spoil this game really for anyone. Persona 3 Reload just does a lot of things right that, again, when I first initially played this back when I was a kid, the way how this remake looks is exactly the same way that I thought it looked back then when I was a child. And seeing it now with the new coat of paint, it brings a solid smile on my face. Happy to know that Persona 3 is back, and now there's a new way and a new generation to go ahead and play this game for the very first time. So that's why another way for me to say is the reason why this review didn't go into full details about the characters, more story plots and points, and just a lot of different things, because I really do want everyone to go ahead and experience this game. Let me know what you guys think of this video. If you guys really did enjoy it, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.